Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Music A Friend for Life. It's Friday night, and it's 25 after 9. How sweet it is. That's good Canadian ginger ale. I'd like to take this moment to take a shout out to my friend Bill, who reminded me that today is the great one's birthday. The great one being Jackie Gleason. One of the most versatile performers of our time. A great actor, a great comedian, and a music director. So tonight I'm going to feature a discussion about some of Jackie Gleason's record albums. Now this one is pretty significant to me. This is Jackie Gleason's Movie Themes for Lovers Only. Now in 1984, I borrowed a copy of my uncle's Meet the Beatles album. And inside the Meet the Beatles album, they had the sleeve for more records on Capitol for your enjoyment. And when I looked on both sides of the album sleeve, this is what I saw. Jackie Gleason Movie Themes for Lovers Only. And I remember saying to my dad, "Dad, is this the same Jackie Gleason that's in The Honeymooners and the Jackie Gleason Show?" He said, "Yes." I said, "He was a musician?" He said, "Well, he had a band. He was an orchestrator." I said, "Wow, that's something." So I have every Jackie Gleason record there is. I have everything from Music for Lovers Only to Words of Love. His last one, it came out in 71. That's another significant year for him because that was the last season that he was actually on CBS, the 1970-1971 season. And what I found recently, well, this one I found last year. This is Jackie Gleason's Lover's Portfolio. It's music for sipping, listening, dancing, and loving. Now, this one is pretty significant because I have one that's in mono, and what it originally was, 2 records of Jackie Gleason's most mellow songs, like music for sipping, music for listening, music for dancing. And here's the 2 original records that came with the set. Now, this is pretty rare because I've hardly ever seen a stereo one of this collection. And in order to find out if it's a mono or stereo pressing, you had to look at the records. On the box itself, it always said Capitol High Fidelity. And I thought that if there was a stereo version of it, it would say stereo underneath, or maybe Capitol Full Dimensional Stereo. But you have to look at the records. And it's a mixture, it's a whole medley of songs that just, there's no pause between the songs on these albums. They just one flows into another. And this has the side Capitol logo. Has to be like I would say maybe a 1960 copy, 1959, 1960. And here are the original Capitol sleeves. Let's see if we can get that in there real nice. Some of these early Capitol sleeves, you never know. And this is really cool. Right along with America's Top Composers, and you can win a songwriting contest with cash prizes. That's something. And here's the advertisement for Capitol Full Dimensional Stereo. This was the thing at the end of the 50s and early 60s. So these are both the records. It was side 1, side 2, side 3, and side 4. And this is SWBO 1619. And the mono will be WBO 1619. What's really cool about this, and only Jackie would do this, is put a drink recipe booklet inside, along with the song titles. What songs go with what kind of drink. Amazing. What a collection. So, this is a stereo one. I do have a mono one, and it's in pretty good condition. The portfolio is the top of it is taped, and it's kind of coming apart. But this one was $2 down in Quakertown record shop. The place is called, what is the place called? Record Revival. I found it in the $2 room. Now here's one that I found at my friend's record shop up here in Allentown. This is Jackie Gleason's Lover's Portfolio, and this one is in mono. But when I opened it tonight, I found... Easy now. Okay. That this does have the recipe booklet. And it has 6 records in here. All with the capital sleeves. What I noticed is that there are 6 albums of Jackie Gleason's in here. There's music for the Love Hours. That's one. And they're all in beautiful capital sleeves. Music for Lovers Only, which was his first one. Music, Jackie Gleason presents That Moment. And I have all these albums separately in both mono and stereo. Music to Change Her Mind. Music, Martinis, and Memories, which is another classic that came out. Let's see, what else do we have? What's this one? Oh, Music to Change Her Mind. I did show you that one. Okay, and Music to Remember Her. Now, these all had different labels and different covers. Actually, Music to Remember Her had an original photo of that, had all women's faces with a purple background. Now, a 1962 copy that came out on the Rainbow label actually showed a man and a woman making out on the beach. So that's probably rarer than the first cover, because those were all on the high fidelity turquoise labels and gray labels. But here, these are all on different Capitol. Now, they're all on Capitol record sleeves. But these are 6 original albums that were in here. Now, perhaps this could be a different pressing. It could have been a special pressing. It's not the 2 records that say Music for Sippin', Music for Dancing. But it's still a great collectible. This was $10, and it's in really sweet shape. So, amazing, right? So that's Jackie Gleason's tribute tonight. Lover's Portfolio. There's one that's called Words of Love, and it was released in '71, and it's Jackie speaking all of the songs on it. And I found it for a dime, in the flea market. And that was way back when I was just going to every single flea market and trying to find every Jackie Gleason record I could find. And I did. And I do have a couple of the budget reissues. One is Shangri-La, which is just a mixture of some of different songs from different albums, and the Christmas album, All I Want for Christmas, which came out in 1969 with the girl dressed up as Santa on the front. It's a 2-record set on the Capitol Lime Green label, and it was comprised of both of his albums that he did for Christmas. One was White Christmas, and the other one was 'Tis the Season. They came out in 1956 and 1967, respectively. And, of course, we're all going to remember him for The Honeymooners and the Jackie Gleason Show. And he had such wonderful characters as Fenwick Babbitt, Charlie the Loudmouth, Charlie Bratton the Loudmouth, Ralph Cramden, Joe the Bartender. And then he was in certain movies, How to Commit Marriage with Bob Hope in 1969, Papa's Delicate Condition, Requiem for a Heavyweight, the movie version with Mickey Rooney. So that's Jackie Gleason's tribute tonight. So we're going to make a transition now. So that's good. Once again, the Facebook audience is the greatest in the world. But we're also going to make tonight Fab 4 Friday. And I have my Revolver 8-track t-shirt on. And if you listen to Revolver on 8-track, it's a very different album, as all 8-tracks are. On this one, I believe She Said is on 2 programs. So I have the 8-track. It was $1, and I've yet to have an 8-track player, but if they come back, you can bet your boots I'm going to have it attached to the to the receiver on my stereo. But I wanted to get some opinions tonight from my audience. Tonight I was listening to, I wanted to do this video for a long time. Tonight I wanted to do a comparison between the American and the British versions of the Beatles' Rubber Soul. Now, there is, of course, the debate of whether the Capitol version was better or the British catalog version was better. Well, here's a stereo that I had bought separately. I didn't buy the complete stereo box set. I only bought the ones that I wanted. And Rubber Soul was one of them. And it does sound great in stereo. This is the stereo remaster. It was taken from, a digital master, and it was pressed on the LP. And it has has original 14 songs, with the 2 songs from George Harrison. By the way, that was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, George Harrison. This has Think for Yourself and If I Needed Someone. So If I Needed Someone, when I first heard these on the radio, it was back in 1983, and they had a show on the radio on CBS FM 101.1, and it was called The Beatles, The Days in Their Life. And they played everything from Please Please Me up until Let It Be. And I was trying to figure out what songs were. I said, wait a minute, aren't they playing Meet the Beatles' second album? So when they played Rubber Soul and I heard Nowhere Man, I said, wait a minute, what copy of Rubber Soul has Nowhere Man? And when I started record hunting in the Woodbridge Mall, it was called Record Town, and then I saw the reissued imports on Parlophone and on Apple, respectively. And then I saw how the albums were different. Now, I grew up listening, as most of us in the United States did, the Capitol pressings. Okay, here's a new improved full-dimensional stereo copy of Rubber Soul. And this is pretty cool because it has the new improved full-dimensional stereo on the white border. So it's an alternate stereo pressing. That's an American copy. And here's a more common stereo, new improved full-dimensional stereo, with the logo here inside the picture. Now, most copies did have this inside the picture, but one to find on the outside was pretty rare, and the border's a little bit higher on this one. And it is a Capitol Rainbow label. Got this for $8. This is the stereo. This is a U.S. press, and it's manufactured by Capitol Records USA. So I would say this is a 1965 copy. It has their names on it, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, like the reissues did on Capitol. The first one I remember here, I won it off the radio. It was a purple label, and I won it in the summer of 84, 85, maybe, summer of 84. And it was a purple label. And it had the gold letters that said, for promotional use only. So it came from WPST, who used to have the Beatles lunch breaks every Friday, with Big Jay Sorensen. Okay, it was out of Trenton in Philadelphia. And I won it on the radio, and I was caller number 5, and I won the record, and I was so ecstatic about it. But I played that one to shreds, and I've had to replace it with the original copies. So that was a purple label issue. Now, this one, the Capitol Full Dimensional Stereo in the United States, has only the 12 songs on it. But I grew up with this one. So I grew up listening to I've Just Seen a Face opening up side 1, and It's Only Love opening up side 2. And that's the way I remember hearing Rubber Soul. Whereas with the stereo copy in England, it started off with Drive My Car on side 1, and side 2 had What Goes On. Ringo starting us off on side 2. And I think, like some, and it's not a minority. A minority of people that they think. Well, here's a nice mono one that I have in shrink wrap that was given to me. So this is a 1965 mono copy in the shrink with the Capitol sleeve inside. And the latest album in here is the early Beatles, because that came out in March of 1965. And this one came out in December. So here's the Rubber Soul in mono. an original. Okay, with the originals, I got to put this in a white sleeve. So, and it plays really nice. I think that when the Beatles made the change that they did in mid-late 1965, I think I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love fit the concept of what Rubber Soul was to be about. Rubber Soul had a very folk rock, introspective kind of sound. Now, I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love were on the Help album in England, which I do have in the mono box set. And I just think that these songs fit better on the American copy, even though we're missing If I Needed Someone. And I bought the stereo one because I like the stereo sound also on the remaster. It really sounds great. And yeah, this is from the East Coast disc pressing, the Beatles Rubber Soul in mono. T2442, also available in stereo. I love reading that on the back of these records. It's amazing. So, I ask you, what say you? Do you believe that the Rubber Soul in stereo or mono in England outshines the American copy mono and stereo? Do you think that It's Only Love and I've Just Seen a Face fit the concept better? Or do you think that Drive My Car and What Goes On fits it? Just let me know. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And if you ever find copies of Lover's Portfolio, or you have any copies of Jackie Gleason records in your collection, definitely let me know. I answer everything, and I will acknowledge everything. So have a wonderful night, folks. Peace, and enjoy the music. Good night.